You just said you wanted to be a coach or on ESPN. You're going to be a coach on ESPN.
Hell yeah.
Lock that fucking in, dog. That's all day.
Nothing like stars from a paradise. Don't care cause there's magic in the air tonight. Pretty girl in my ear, she the rarest type. Heaven on earth is right here tonight. I'm in the dream state. I'm in the dream state.
Listen. In all-time history, I continue to say it. In all-time episodes, I continue to say it. There will be none greater than the Reddcast. Today, a legend. And I cannot wait. Because, listen, we usually do the stories up to this point, but there's a story that's coming in the future from this guy. And we're going to find out all about it right now. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Haydn Warren. How are we doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be on the Reddcast.
Listen, it's all-time history.
I fucking love the couch setup.
Oh, it's all time. There's no other way. We got downstairs all to ourselves this week, so we figured we set up the studio. I do like the couch feel. It's very comfortable.
It's casual.
You know? Yeah, it's casual, and you can just have a nice conversation. We did one with my buddy Jim Gallagher here already. That was in the other room over there. Same kind of couch show set up. You know, Mama Red. She doesn't play around with the decor.
Oh, she's the best. The best.
So we got a nice, decor for us to shoot at, and we're going to roll. But listen, we're going to dive right into it. All right, well, first we should preempt this by saying first ever episode shot of the Reddcast was with none other than Haydn Warren.
Yes. That was, what are you calling it, the pilot episode?
Yeah, the pilot episode.
The pilot episode, it was in Reds. It was fun, man. It was a long day, kind of like figuring it out.
It was a long day.
It was funny, too, because you reached out to me and Podcast Nick, and we're like, hey, I want you to help me kind of do the first one and, like, figure it out. And in my head and probably Nick's head, we're like, well, we've barely been doing this for a while, but we'll see what we can do. You know what I mean? We'll throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. But no, it was great. It was a lot of fun. And I think I don't know if you're going to find many better first episodes of a podcast.
Yeah, that was very smooth.
Yeah.
But of course, because we're friends, like we're close, but also just once the cameras are on and we got the mics recording, it's like they just need to tell us to go, and we can just go, and we had done previously your podcast when it was peaked in high school. The previous, not that summer, the closest one to when we shot the first episode, the previous summer.
Yeah. Peaked in High School was the first podcast I did with Kevin Nolte, longtime friend.
Yep.
That was like really what started me in this, was Peaked in High School. It was a COVID creation. We had a lot of free time. Probably shouldn't have left the house, whatever. But we filmed it in Kevin's basement. And the reason that I did it with Kevin is because he had a production company. He had all the gear. And in my head, I was like, we're friends already. We shoot the shit as it is. Might as well do it on camera. You have all the equipment. And, so we did that for probably about a year, I would say. It was really good to kind of learn to find my voice, I guess, in this lane, because one funny thing we actually started doing is reaction videos for Sports Culture. I'm jumping around a little bit, but we reacted to some old clips from Peaked in High School.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was dying inside.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so tough to watch. No wonder nobody really watched it. I don't blame you. But yeah, so we did Peaked in High School. We did Peaked in High School for about a year. And then after that, Kevin got real busy because the world opened up and he was filming a bunch of stuff. And then we rented a little room that was like 100 square feet, which is where I believe you came on. No, you didn't come on that one. We were in that spot. I started Sports Culture, which was my show. Still is my show. We filmed that for a year there, and then we upgraded to the new studio, which is where you came on recently.
Yeah.
The new studio is pretty cool, but I will be moving out of it soon.
Yeah. So this is where it gets interesting, because I've been waiting. This is Louisiana. Louisiana, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so what is going on? I need to know this.
So the last couple months have been wild for you and me. So
100%.
we're going to go into that because I still really haven't talked to you much about it. But yeah, the last couple months have been crazy. I've been working construction jobs, different trades jobs, and not loving life. People not paying me, people just not happy with work that we've done that I knew was good. And I was like, you know what? This is not me. Like there's more. I know I'm supposed to accomplish something more. I know I'm supposed to accomplish something bigger. And I've always wanted to get back into coaching. So my buddy, who I actually coached when I was coaching at Widener, he played linebacker for us. He got he started coaching. He got a job down south, and then he got a head coaching high school job down south at a really good private high school in Louisiana. And he called me and he was like, Haydn, I got this head coaching job. Would you be interested in coming down and coaching with me? And it was like kind of out of the blue. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, like I want you to come down. I want you to be my offensive coordinator. I'm not interviewing anybody else. This is your job. Like, can we make this work? So I was this was also in the process where I was interviewing for a couple other coaching jobs because I wanted to get back on that path. And then I sat back and I realized, like, could I take a D3 job? Sure. Local D3 job and still work at the bar and kind of make some quick money right now? Or can I completely change my life, go down to a place sight unseen I never even visited, and really take a chance and gamble on myself a little bit and make a serious run at becoming a legitimate D1 coach one day? And I've been saying to people that ask me this, I said, I'm 28 years old right now. By 35, I'll be a D1 coach. And I fully believe that. My head coach now, Shane Mulhern, he believes that that's the path for us. Like we're going to do it as a team. So yeah, like that's kind of where we're at right now. And by the time this is out, I'll be there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You'll have already been practiced, done
Yeah,
pretty much.
yep.
Well, I guess it depends when, but you'll have already done a lot, and you'll already be kind of settled in there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have a bunch of questions about this. So you were looking to get back into coaching prior to when your friend called you.
Yes. So I was working these construction jobs, and I'm like, you know what? I'm doing these construction jobs. I'm barely paying the bills. I do love the podcast, and I'm going to keep doing the podcast. That's not going to stop both of them. I have sports culture and toe-to-toe fight talk, but there's more. Like, I don't enjoy what I do every day, and I feel like life's too short to just kind of stay in the loop of bullshit. You know what I mean? So I was interviewing for high school jobs, college jobs, all different levels, head coaching high school jobs, offensive coordinator high school jobs, and then some positional coaches stuff. I had an interview with UPenn for a receivers coach or tight ends coach job. I didn't get it, but it was cool to be in the running. And then I was on track to get offered a couple of D3 jobs for position coaches. And I waited out, and I thought that going down south, and even though it is high school, football, but football in particular is just different down there. Like, they care about high school football.
Yeah, it's big time down there.
Like, if you're a good high school football coach, those college coaches, those college ADs, they know who you are. And I'm like, I think this puts me in the best spot. I don't want to say fast track, but like get in front of the right people. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to have to bust my ass while I'm down there. It's not going to be given to me. But I think this puts me in a great spot to really get in front of people and like, we're off to the races.
Yeah, especially where they take it serious.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really good opportunity to just start out down there and get after it right when you go down there.
Yeah.
I mean, Louisiana does not play around with football. It don't matter what level it is. High school it's very serious. I think about like Manasquan, and I think about around here, like they take football serious.
Yeah.
And you go down south, and it's another level. Like they're real. So I think it's going to be an awesome opportunity. Now, did he know you were looking for coaching jobs prior to when he called, or did that call just come by chance?
I'm trying to think of the timeline. I don't think so.
So he had gotten the job. you were already looking for other jobs, had been interviewing, doing things, and then he calls you with this opportunity, but just by chance, like he didn't know.
Yeah, so he was the defensive coordinator at another school, actually a school on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. It's a beautiful school, and he was the defensive coordinator. That head coach left, and he was interviewing for the job there. And then as he's interviewing for this job, this other school in Louisiana approached him and said, hey, we want you to come interview for our head coaching job. And he literally interviewed and then got hired at that job like within 2 days. It was crazy. And I was interviewing for a bunch of different jobs, and then he originally called me when he was getting interviewed for the Mississippi job. So he was getting interviewed for the Mississippi job. I was interviewing at the same time with schools up here, like D3 and high school schools up here, and it just kind of worked out, but he didn't know that I was interviewing. So he calls me, and I'm like, dude, this is wild. Like,
It's good timing.
Perfect timing. And another cool thing about this whole thing is, like, both of us are guys that were kind of, I want to say, wrote off in the coaching world up here. I felt like I feel like I'm a good coach. I feel like I can be a good coach. I can continue to learn and evolve and become a very good coach. I couldn't get a job. Like, even some of these high schools were like, yeah, you can come in and like help out with the receivers. I was like, I coached college receivers and did multiple things, assistant special teams coordinator at a college level. I felt like that was like a slap in the face.
For sure.
So I just waited. I was like, I'll wait it out. I know something's going to happen. I know I'm going to get an opportunity. And this came about. And another cool thing about this is I coached him when he was a player. He's like 24 years old. He's the youngest head coach in Louisiana.
Really?
Yeah. And he's bringing down a 28-year-old coordinator who's going to be one of the youngest coordinators in Louisiana.
Yeah, but you're an absolute stallion. That's what they don't fucking know. They don't fucking know that you're coming down there, coming in hot, dog.
I mean, I'm telling these kids day one, I'm going in there and I'm going to let them know I'm not moving 1,500 miles to lose. Like, I got to set the tone early. I'll be like, how you doing? My name is Haydn Warren. You can call me Coach Warren. I didn't travel 1,500 miles to fucking lose a game. Like, I'm coming here to win, and we're going to put up points. So, like, through conversations with him, he's getting me fired up. I'm getting fired up, and we're going back and forth. And now we're shooting this. It's a week away from me moving down there. By the time this airs, like, we're going to be in full swing, training camp probably, and we're going to be working on putting up some points.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you're moving down next week.
Yeah. March 12th, I will be moving down.
Yes. Okay. So that's like the following Sunday, Monday, something like that. So it's literally around the corner.
Yeah.
And you'll be down there. And do you know what the plan is? Like, did he explain anything about when you first get down there, what's going on, when you start practice?
Yeah, he gave me like a schedule, and down south is different from up here. You can do it's basically like the NFL. Like, they have like OTAs, they have mini camp, they have like spring ball, everything's full pads. Up here, you have like a summer camp where you have full pads and that's it. So we're pretty much going to hit the ground running. I mean, I know they're already doing winter workouts, lifting, strength and conditioning, everything like that. And apparently he's a lunatic, so he's getting after them already. And I'm excited to go down and just jump right in the mix. There's a lot more things to this too. Even though it is the high school level, the community is like thoroughly involved. And it's a private school, so we can recruit. And like he's already warning me. He's like, "Hey, you're gonna come down here, and you're gonna have to meet with this booster or this parent because they're very connected in the community. We want to build a good relationship with this person, that person. Hey, I want you to meet the AD of the local university down here. We have a good relationship." So it's cool. It's not just like, hey, I'm a guidance counselor and I teach football or I coach football on the side. It's like, no, I'm a football coach and I also am the guidance counselor. So it's going to be a really cool experience, I think.
Yeah, I think that opportunity is just golden. And it's crazy that he didn't really know. You know, he didn't know at all that you were looking to get back into coaching.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of happened by chance. But some will call it chance, some will call it destiny, baby. I mean,
Hell yeah.
it's gonna be that's gonna be sweet, and I'm excited to follow along and see what happens. I mean, because when you posted this, so I see the post, and you know, so you mentioned, you alluded to it before. You just said the last couple of months have been crazy, and so for me too, I have been off the radar. So I have just been once Reds closed. I posted the first day of the year, and then I went off social media, and we have just been grinding on the podcast. We have, I think, almost 20 episodes now. I think we have, in total, over 20 episodes. I think there's around 16 that haven't been released. And I've just been editing all of them, doing all the clips, and just been under the radar, been in the gym. The last time we filmed the podcast, the last time we did the episode, I was 170. I had a six-pack, and I was solidified tan, golden like an Egyptian god. Now I'm 225.
Jesus.
Massive gut, putting up numbers, though, I will say that, and I'm white as a ghost because it's the dead of winter. So, you know, the timing is just, but in the winter normally is when I'm working anyway. That's when is my grind time. We talked about this on your podcast.
Yeah.
The most recent one, how the summer was a reset for me, and the fall, winter, spring was always my work season.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm used to that, but really I've just gone completely off. Like, there's nothing, I've been reaching out, talking to people, just, you know, nothing really on social media, just all text, calls, and keeping up with people, trying to schedule more podcasts, really getting after the editing and getting those ready. But this was the time where, you know, everything's under the dust. We're not, you know, everything's settled. So it's a completely different time frame. And when I saw the post and you said, I'm going down to Louisiana, I'm moving in 2 weeks, I was like, what? It was total shock.
Yeah.
Total shock. Because again, we did that podcast before I even knew you were looking for coaching jobs.
Yeah. So yes. You just, yes. A lot. Yes. Okay. So, yeah, when Reds closed, that was similar to this. Like, that was the shock to me. Like, me moving down to Louisiana was probably how I felt when Reds closed. I was like, damn, man. Like, I was enjoying it. I wasn't working it as much as I wanted to, just from different reasons. But every time I was there, I was enjoying it. I was enjoying the vibe, working with you, working for you. The atmosphere, the staff, everything was great. Going off of that, you having more time to do the podcast, I think, is actually a blessing, because we've talked many times, and I'm one of your biggest supporters in this thing. Knowing you, your personality, the people you know, how hard you work at this, I have no doubt that it'll be a success. And then for me to randomly move to Louisiana, there's a lot more into this. Like, I was working for first round management, managing fighters and trying to break into managing football players. That's done. I had to quit that. They were great though. They were like, best of luck. Like, hopefully you make it big so we can recruit some of your guys eventually. So that was a great experience. And I want to say thank you to those guys over at FRM, Malky and all them, but that would be a conflict of interest. I had to stop that. And then another thing, you mentioned it, fucking working at Bar A. Parade day will be my last shift. That's 10 plus years working there.
So that's completely done. You're not going to be there this summer.
No.
Oh man, whose bar am I going to hit first when I walk in for 20 white tea, dude?
I know, man. I know. I mean, I'm sure I'll come back and see, obviously my family lives in Belmar, so I'll be back and I'll definitely visit and maybe pick up a shift here or there when I'm home for a holiday or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna be a Louisiana native for the foreseeable future, and that's gonna be kind of emotional too. Like, yes, working in the bar, our coping mechanism is constantly bitching and complaining, but at the end of the day, like, I've built some good relationships with people there, and it's been the longest job I've had in my life. I started there when I was like 17, 18 years old. So Sunday's actually going to be like an emotional day, when it should be like, it's going to be fun. Obviously, it's parade day. It's going to be packed.
You're working all day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. to close.
But I'm sure it's going to be pretty emotional for me too. Like, as weird as that sounds, because it's just a bar job, but it's been my summers for the last 10 plus years.
Yeah, a decade. Over a decade. And also, you're a staple there. Like, you have been there for so long now, and you're one of their go-to guys. Like, they can trust you. You do everything right. They don't need to worry about you. They know that you're going to show up and you're going to do the job exactly as it needs to be done. Yeah. So for them, I'm sure they're going to feel it too, because you think about it, every big night that they had, you were there. That's just the way it was. Like, especially Tuesday, like I said, Tuesdays, I walk in, you're at that first bar, like right when you walk in, basically the first lawn bar. And it was just so much fun. Because again, you as a bartender, you as a person, you create an atmosphere for people. Whether it's the podcast, whether you're working at the bar, like, you create an energy that people want to be around, when they're going out, when they're doing things, when they're talking to you. So, I'm sure Bar A is going to be feeling it when you leave. They're not going to be able to really find somebody. And I really want to hammer this in, because just from my perspective of owning a bar and seeing what it's like to get somebody who's irreplaceable, like, you are one of those people. So, that. Absolutely. And, it's not going to be as fun when I walk in and order 20 white tea from, who's going to, it was Corey is there, right? Is she going to be back or what?
I don't know if she's back for Tuesday nights. We were talking, and she works kind of far away. I think she's working in like Jersey City or Hoboken.
Okay.
In that area. So Tuesdays might be tough for her because she's in the office. She's not remote anymore.
Okay.
I know she was saying something about working Saturdays and maybe keep doing that and picking up here and there, but yeah, I don't know. They're going to have 2 new people, looks like it, at that bar.
Man, that's a combo to lose. I mean, you guys were deadly combo. Deadly combo. I mean, so much fun. And again, the energy that you guys created, I mean, it was just, every time we went there was a blast. And it was just, it was so fun because, again, you and I became close, and I'd walk in and it'd be like the look of, you would see, give me the smirk, like the smile that you knew trouble was on the way in. Like, here we go.
Well, when you come in, it's, all right. In my head, I'm like, all right, I'm prepared to pour a lot of shots, probably a lot of mixed drinks as well. Yeah. And then I have to, like, look at you, nod, and then I have to look to see how many fucking people are you with, because normally it's a herd.
It's absolutely electric. Absolutely electric.
And I'm like, all right, it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, but just to again, because I've been going there heavy for the last 2 years, really. I mean, I've gone there for a long time, but not like I was going the last 2 years. So that was always fun, and that was one of my questions, was whether or not you were going to be able to still work there. Because if you think about it from a perspective of somebody who works maybe a football coaching job up here, high school.
Yeah.
Coach in the spring, summer's off until August when you guys start camp, and then September the season starts. So you have that summertime off.
Yeah.
Down there, is the plan to be working out and practicing all summer?
So there's it's interesting because it's similar, like I said, it's similar to the NFL. So it's like, there's 3 weeks of OTAs where the players are working out, where obviously I got to be there. Then you got a couple weeks off. Then we got another couple weeks of something, and it's kind of spread out so that you're always with the kids and you're always moving in the right direction. And they kind of give you some freedom to really hone the craft. So, I mean, I'll probably pick up a bartending job there because I'm moving to Hammond, Louisiana, which is where Southeastern Louisiana College is.
Okay.
So it's a college town. So I'm sure I'll be able to pick up a couple bar shifts locally.
Absolutely.
But another thing too, like I'm giving up a lot to move down there, so I'm gonna take it super serious. This is like a big deal for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 28 years old, so this is kind of like a make it or break it type decision, and I'm fucking moving up 1,500 miles away.
I mean, you're going down there, dog.
So it's like it's all in. You know what I mean?
100.
So even in the summer, even if let's say I was off for a month and I could come home and do that, I'll probably stay there and work with Shane, the head coach, and really make sure we're good to go for that season. Put in the work. Build relationships in the community and really set ourselves up for some success. I'm excited for the challenge.
Yeah, I know, again, just talking about the energy you bring to everything, the energy you're going to bring to that, especially because you have such a passion for sports, football really in particular, because you played. I mean, just you talk about your podcast, sports culture. I mean, you're all over it. Every sport, you're covering everything. It's something that you really have a passion for.
Yeah.
So I feel like this opportunity that you're taking to go down there and the chance you're taking, I feel like it's a no-brainer. I mean, I feel like when this opportunity presented itself, this was the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm nervous because, like I haven't even seen the place. I'm trusting my head coach he's taken me to a good spot. He even helped me find an apartment. Like, he did the tour of the apartment for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'd have no idea what the fuck I'm getting myself into. But I'm young enough where this is the time.
Yeah.
Take a chance.
100%.
Because at 35 years old, when I'm coaching I'm coming up here and I'm coaching for Rutgers, and they're talking Greg Schiano contract numbers with me, and like, that's when you're like, you can look back and be like, that was the right decision. I won't know if this is the right decision for probably 5 to 10 years, but I'm willing to roll the dice.
Absolutely. You have to take the risk. You have to. I would bet that it's going to be the right decision. If I feel like, and just in general, even if, say, coaching doesn't work out, whatever you're doing, you're always giving your all. You're always putting everything into it. And so regardless of whatever opportunity it is, it's going to set you up to go to the next one that will work out. That's just how I feel it is for certain people. I feel like regardless of what your surroundings are, what your certain opportunities are around you currently, whatever one you go to, it's going to end up working out. And I feel that with you.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why we're friends, because I feel the same way about you. So, like, even when I found out that Reds closed, I reached out to you and we talked about it briefly, and I'm like, what's next? And even me, like, being a fucking idiot, I would text you, like, random things. I'm like, hey, this building's for rent. What do you want to do with it? You know what I mean?
A couple times you've texted me for business opportunities.
Just because I'm like, I know whatever you do next is going to work. So I'm like, hey, well, I'd love to be a part of it. Like, why not?
Well, we had looked at, I remember the first opportunity I had outside of Reds, aside from, like, within my family business of, like, other opportunities coming up with that, was when you approached me with Quinn about that bar in Seaside that was closed right on the boardwalk. Yeah. We went down, we looked at it, we took a look, and again, that could have been a good opportunity as well. And then once Reds closed and everything, you came to me with, I think, 2 or 3 more business opportunities of what was going on.
Because I know, like, if you're down for it and you're all in on it, it'll work. I mean, Reds closing doesn't mean you failed. It means the world got hit with something we weren't going to expect.
Man, that is the tough part about it. Is it's pro and a con, right? It's the law of equivalent exchange. I look at it like from the bad side. I did everything I was supposed to do. I did everything right. Yeah. Yet it still didn't work out. But on the good side of it, I look at it and I'm like, I did everything right. Yeah. It worked out. Yes. We just matter of circumstance, matter of timing. The pandemic hit, and it is what it is. It put us on a backlog, and it's
hard to get out of a hole from the beginning.
Yeah. And I've explained it more on. I've been talking about it on most of the podcasts. That's
what I was trying to.
Yeah, but it's always good to hit it back. Because I talk about it differently on each one, but it's good to talk about it because it's tough. I had known that we were probably going to close either at the end of the year or in the spring. And I was really hoping for the spring because, as you know from working there, in the fall, you meet all these brand new kids. All these people are turning 21 in the fall and even more throughout that entire year.
Yeah.
So all the people you meet in the fall, there's people from the year before, it's starting to build. And then the spring, the fraternities and sororities, they grow in size. Right. Like the cameo I just did that I'm going to send, they all do their recruitment in the spring. So the date nights all grow substantially. It's a lot more people. So that's good for business as well. And I was hoping we would get the whole school year, because if you think about it, the school year operates September to May. It's not like January to December. So I was hoping to get the full school year, but it just happened to be timing-wise. Obviously, the landlord accepted the buyout. It was great, saved us a ton, and they want to try to get somebody in there as soon as possible. Right. So they really helped us out in that sense. And, of course, I wouldn't have even had a chance to see if all the hard work I was putting in and all the decisions I were making were actually right had they not been the ones that were our landlord. Because we could have just been out of there right away.
Right.
There was really no chance. And luckily, the way they set it up for us, we were able to get a shot. So I'm thankful for that because it really worked out. And it really, you think about the whole network of people I have, and not even just the network, but literally friends of mine now. All those kids I show up to your bar with, like most of those kids that are in that squad every time I go to order the shots and everything, they're all friends of mine.
Right.
And that is, to me, I've said it many times, the relationships that I got out of that year and out of all those years at Reds worth way more than any amount of money I could have made there. Yeah. So for me, still in my mind, success, Absolutely. And so again, you mentioned the podcast, right to it. As soon as it ended, I was a little down. Obviously, I posted the closing. That post went crazy. Everybody was showing love. Everybody was sharing it. So that felt great. But still, you still feel kind of down when something like that happens. You put your heart and soul into something for so long, and that was a 5-year journey basically. We were open for what, like really, from 2019 till now, so really not that long. But getting that place ready, like from the beginning, myself and my mom were in there every day before it was open. And
you were just sleeping in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was sleeping in there.
I want everybody to know that. He sleeps there sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It was just, and, so when it closed, it still was like a bit of a sting, and I'm optimistic in everything I do. So I wasn't really, I knew that I would have to keep pushing forward. There's no waiting around. But at the same time, it does sting to lose something like that, especially when it really had a lot of meaning to me. It really had a lot of meaning to me, and the people I met there all have a lot of meaning to me. So to lose that spot, it was tough. But, on to the next.
I think that sets you up for what's next, though.
Yeah.
I think building those relationships, connections, starting a podcast in that building, which you can take on and now dedicate the time that you were putting into the bar into this, it's like, oh, okay. So maybe in the grand scheme of things, if you believe in like fate or whatever, is like, maybe this was how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Maybe this was your journey. This was the path that was supposed to happen. That's a little hippy-dippy nonsense, but still, maybe that's really
100%
what brings you to this point. And even going through a little bit of adversity and having to close, maybe that's like you were supposed to go through that. You needed to go through that because now like don't. And I'm not saying you did take it for granted or take it for whatever. It's just like, okay, so nothing's promised. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to make sure that this succeeds because I know that at any moment, anything can be taken away. So it's like, okay, maybe that was supposed to happen. And now when this blows up, it's like, okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see now. You know what I mean?
It is always when you're in the situation and when you're in the madness, you never really see what the true purpose of it is. Yeah. But then down the line, you get to the other side of that, and you're like, okay, that's why. It's always tough in the moment to, like, you're asking why is this happening? And that was what was happening to me during that whole pandemic year. I would be asking myself, why? Like, why is this happening? Like, I feel like I'm a good person. I work hard at everything I do. I'm doing everything right. Yet these rules are complete bullshit. I have all these headaches every day trying to deal with it. And it was just so crazy because, again, unique situation. The business was growing in a year that everything was supposed to be shut down. Mm-hmm. But people still want the amount of people we could let in was getting smaller as the amount of people who wanted to get in was getting exponentially bigger. Right. So, it was tough. And at the end of it, had all those friends, had all those relationships, and it set us up to have one of the craziest years the following year. Yeah. So, at that point, then you're like, okay, that's why I went through all that. But it's tough when you're in it, And so, again, those last couple weeks of January, a little bit down, kind of asking why, what am I going to do? But I knew once the year started, Corey and I were going to be getting after it on the podcast. So now, I'm thankful. And again, we have all these episodes now that I've been editing. I have time to do it. I've been in the gym more than I've ever been. And so
that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe you were supposed to do this podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe you were supposed to give people like myself and people way bigger than me another platform to get whatever they have to get out. Because I think you reached a wide audience with the bar, but this reaches everyone. Like, maybe that was a good start and you were supposed to reach that many people, but now it's like, okay, we need to take you and give other people a platform that's even bigger.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know. You have no idea.
Absolutely.
And
I think
that's kind of how I view my situation too. It's like, maybe maybe this was the plan all along.
Yeah.
Like, who knows?
Yeah. When going back before you started the podcast and all these things, was coaching ever something that was in your mind of something you wanted to do?
Oh, yeah. It was literally the two things I'm doing now were the two things I wanted to do. I either wanted to be a football coach or I wanted to be on ESPN. As a kid, I said that. I was like, now, I think I've said this before. I think I wanted to be on ESPN as a player, but then once you realize
100%.
you're going to be a coach or you're going to be a commentator.
So you just said you wanted to be a coach or on ESPN. You're going to be a coach on ESPN.
Hell yeah.
Lock that fucking in, dog. That's all day.
And yes, I agree. I talked to going through this whole process because it was a process because it's hard to make a decision like this overnight. And I was lost for a period. We were lost around the same time. Like January was a rough month. December, January was a rough month.
Way off the radar.
Yeah.
Way off the radar.
I was like, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not going out. I haven't really been going out even recently. Like I'm just kind of getting ready for the move and everything like that. But during I'll say a dark time, I was talking to people that were in this field, that were in the coaching field, that were people that I trusted. A girl I know, actually I met her at the bar. She works with like Julian Edelman and some big name people. And we almost did a podcast together because she's somewhat of an influencer herself. And I was just kind of bouncing stuff off her. And I was like, hey, like, I'm going to go one of two ways. I'm either going to work construction and just really try to make the podcast work, or I'm going to go into coaching and kind of do the podcast on the side. I'm going to still do it. It's going to have to change a little bit. What do you think I should do? And she was like, I never tell people to completely go all in on the podcast for the fact that I know how nasty the business is, which I respect. I'm glad she said that because she's seen the dark side of it. But in my head, I'm like, I can do this. You know what I mean?
100%.
I'm like, I can do this.
I fear none.
But she also said, in my situation, if you go coaching, look at how many former coaches are now analysts. Look at how many former coaches are now commentators. Look at how many athletes are now doing this. She was like, I think coaching opens the door for the podcast. I think coaching opens the door to be a media personality. Now, when I get to that point, if I'm the head coach of Michigan or Rutgers or Texas, I don't know how eager I'm going to be a personality. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm going to be myself, which will be entertaining in press conferences and maybe on podcasts and stuff like that. But there's going to be a time and a place where I'm going to have to make another decision. And I think that this would be the right path to get there, though. This is almost a springboard for everything else.
Yeah, I think talking about the podcast and where you were going, I think doing the coaching now and taking this opportunity is going to get you to the same place, just in a different route.
Exactly. And that's kind of how I was piecing it together from what she was saying. Now, do I agree with everything that she was saying or other people were saying? No, because I'm stubborn and I think I can do it all, and it is what it is. But I think it's similar to what we're saying now, though. Reds was the catalyst for the podcast. Coaching is going to be the catalyst for the podcast, media, something else.
Wherever it leads you.
Whatever it leads you. She's like, so many people nowadays are doing media. You need something else. Like, you need something that gets the eyes on you. You having close to 1,000 or over 1,000 views in each of your first couple episodes, that came from building the connections at the bar.
Yep.
So, like, you need something like that.
Yeah.
And I agree. I was like, this is that it seems like a no-brainer at this point.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and it's always, I was going to see, who you had talked to about, this coaching job when you were deciding, because again, you mentioned before, it's a big move going down there, and I'm sure your family and, some outside sources. What is the plan with the podcast? How are you going to attack that once you get down there? Is it something where you're going to need to get down there first, see what your schedule is like with the football, and then go from there? Or do you have a plan of how you're going to attack it before you even get down there?
Yeah, so obviously it's going to be all remote, virtual, and I do 2 podcasts. I just started one. It's an MMA one. It's called Toe to Toe Fight Talk. It's on a new streaming service. It's on Premier Streaming Network. So that'll still go on with my co-host Brandon Brown. We'll do that. We'll upload it to there. So if you wanted to see that, it'll just be virtual, but it'll be all combat sports content. So that won't really change it that much because we actually were doing it kind of virtual in the beginning anyway. Then we got them in studio, but that'll be fine. So we'll do that. Sports culture is going to change a little bit.
Yeah, this one I'm very interested in.
So sports culture, because I'm coaching now, it's hard to be a coach and a journalist. That's kind of a conflict of interest. So I'm going to take more of the I'm going to still have guests on. I love talking to guests. I love doing this, hearing other people's stories. I'm also going to have a girl that I've had on a few times, Danielle Pitbull. She's a fighter down in Miami. She signed a deal with OnlyFans, not to do porn.
Let's fucking go.
Not to do the porn side.
I know.
Because OnlyFans is trying to get away from that.
They have been for some time.
They're trying real hard to get that stigma
It's tough
off.
because the money's so good in the explicit content.
But she signed a deal with them to do training. She'll do some modeling stuff, but all very stuff you can put on Facebook or Instagram. And part of her deal is they want podcast content. So I'm going to have her on as kind of like not a co-host, but like a reoccurring guest. So we'll do segments and you'll only be able to see that on there. So it'll be behind a paywall, which helps me. And then I'm going to also I'm thinking about doing a paywall myself, maybe a Patreon or even an OnlyFans type thing where it's behind a paywall. It's all the same content, if not better. And I'm also going to take more of a professional approach to it because I was more of the silly comedy while talking sports, kind of talking some shit to people, Pat McAfee type figure, where now I'll be more of like a Colin Cowherd figure where it's more like to the point. I'll still be myself and I'll still curse a little bit because I'm going to be who I am, but it's going to be more of a dialed in approach where I'm breaking down film of a game, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, whatever it is. I'll still break down some fighting and stuff like that on there. So it's going to be more structured. It's going to be more detailed. It's not going to be as like super playful as it has been in the past. It's going to be way more dialed in and professional because I view that as kind of building a portfolio. And it's also, I am a role model for kids now. So I can't be doing crazy shit.
Yeah. You're the coach. You're guiding them. They're going to be looking up to you for sure.
I'm a guidance counselor now.
Oh, is that also part of the deal?
That's the job.
Wow. So guidance counselor, coach. But like you said before, coach with the guidance counselor on the side. Yeah.
Sorry, Will. That's the principal.
I think, again, because I didn't even touch on the whole guidance counselor part, but that's going to be a perfect fit for you as well. I think the kids having someone to talk to you like you and give them good perspective on things and just – even the support you've shown me, like when someone wants to go after something, you're the kind of guy that's going to get behind them and say, listen, go for it, you know, and you can do this. And even from the beginning, of the podcast and everything, before the podcast, you were always a supporter. You were a supporter of Reds, of everything I had going on. And then when the podcast started, you were the first guy that I hit up about it, and you just had all the answers to all the questions I had. I literally went to the studio with you and Nick, and we sat down and ordered all this equipment that we have right here.
Yeah.
We literally sat there and ordered everything. You guys showed me exactly what I needed. Is Nick still going to be filming, or what's going on with him?
Yeah, so it actually makes it easier for him because he doesn't have to go to the studio and drive an hour every day and all that. And it'll be actually better content-wise because I can kind of do some more like live reactions to stuff and just post the clips. I'll just film it in my house and we'll do it from there. And then more long-form stuff I'll just send to him and he'll edit it and we'll still do the damn thing.
So he's going to be at his house. He's going to be able to do it from his house.
He will be able to do it from his house. He's also going to start working with Chris from the Two Clouded Minds show, who we split the studio with. He's going to start working from them, so he can go to the studio as well.
Who was filming that podcast before? Was it Nick doing it the whole time or no?
No, it's a girl, Maria.
Okay.
Things are happening over there. I don't know exactly the details and what they want me to say, but Nick's going to help out.
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, because he's goated in this space. I mean, he's one of the best.
Yeah.
One of the best to do it. And I was wondering, what was going to happen to this combo. You got the combo Haydn Warren, Nick Perez.
Yeah. We've been together. I was talking to Corey, too, before we started filming. We've been together for almost 3 years. And being 28 years old and him 24, 25, that's a long time. You know what I mean? 3 years is a big chunk of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've both grown in this space a lot. Grown as people a lot. He has a kid now, which makes me feel like I got to get my shit together.
It's you know what though? He looks so happy.
He does, man. He loves it.
He looks so happy.
I think he's going to be a beast of a dad.
Oh, 100%.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, no, we're still going to do it. And that's the thing. Me and you are very similar, like-minded, where it's like we'll figure it out. No matter what, it's going to keep the show must go on.
The show goes on.
We're both in a similar spot too, where we're on kind of like a hiatus right now because I got to get stuff out of the studio. I got to do the big move. But then once I get everything back rolling, I'm giving my co-host Brandon like a setup, like a mic, headphones, everything that lights, everything he needs to shoot at his house. Nick has all that stuff. He has his own little studio at home, so we really won't miss a beat once we get back rolling. It's just going to be different.
Yeah, it's going to be a little different setup, but like you said, you guys are going to figure it out. It's going to be. I bet you once. I mean, Nick again, goated in this. He will figure it out and make it. It'll be seamless. Yeah. I am interested in, like you said, it's going to be a little bit of a different approach. So I'm interested to see how the content kind of changes with you being the coach now.
Yeah, because
you guys, the way you had it set up, I mean, you were killing it. You had the podcast going. You were doing. How long were the episodes as of late?
We tried to keep them to like 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
Some would go a little longer.
And then you had all the clips. You had the solo episodes plus the solo clips, and you were just firing.
Yeah.
You know? And what? And speaking of the sports and all that, we got my guy Pacheco in the Super Bowl, baby.
Bro, I am a huge Pacheco fan.
Yeah. How could you not be?
Am I also a huge Eagles fan, and that was hard to watch? Yes, but I am a huge Isaiah Pacheco fan.
He's goated.
He runs so fucking hard. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He looks angry. 7th round pick. I think guys like Pacheco and Brock Purdy kind of show that a lot of these GMs don't know what the fuck they're looking for.
Dude, I've been saying this for a while with baseball. The scouts, what they're looking at, not a fucking clue. Not a fucking clue.
Look at how many guys come from Rutgers. It's been a shitty team lately. Greg Schiano hopefully turns that around. Local team. I support him.
Those are my dogs right there.
Except for when they play Michigan. I was at that game.
Yep,
it was awesome. You know what's crazy? I went to the Michigan game when they played Rutgers at Rutgers. There was more Michigan fans than Rutgers fans.
Really?
Michigan has such a strong fan base in New Jersey. It was wild. Like, it was yellow and red, and you can clearly see there was more yellow.
Yeah, Michigan's got a strong
fan base. It was wild. Shout out to the people that let us park on their lawn and tailgate there, though. That was cool. Yeah, look how many Rutgers guys are going to the NFL and balling out. Like, guys like Mohamed Sanu, Isaiah Pacheco. Who's the other one that was in Pacheco's class?
Bo Melton. Like, these guys that are so talented. 03 is on the Buccaneers. And then you got Giovanni Haskins right now playing in the XFL.
Like, these guys are so talented, but these scouts overlook them because of the schools they come from and, like, stupid shit. Nowadays, everybody's, like, trying to find a diamond in the rough, too, and they're reaching on picks. It's like, it's football. It's not hard to see who's good and who's not. And, I mean, coming up in this draft, everybody's hyping up Anthony Richardson, which physically, yes, he has all the things to be successful. But if you watch some of those games, his decision-making is god-awful.
See, this is a realm that I'm not in. So,
but it's like
the football is not mine.
Even baseball, too, like, there's certain intangibles that it's, like, more than physical. Like, mentally, can he comprehend what's going on? And does he make good decisions on and off the field, which is huge in any sport? And I'm not saying that Anthony Richardson's a bad guy off the field, but I'm just saying, like, I'm a big proponent in how you carry yourself off the field, how you prepare for the games. That's who you are. So if you're not doing the right things off the field, if you're not watching that extra film as a quarterback or as a batter, you're not watching tendencies of the pitchers and you're just saying, oh, I'm the best player here, I'm going to go ball out, you're not going to be as successful as someone who is talent the same but doing that extra work.
Especially when you get to the next level.
Exactly. And who wants it more? You know what I mean? Like, people, I don't know if you saw this, Deion Sanders is getting a little bit of heat on him right now, Coach Prime, because he posted stuff. He posted a video of him saying what he looks for in certain positions. He recruits certain positions differently. And he said that his quarterback, he's got to have a 3.5 GPA. Ideally, they come from a stable home life, and they're a leader. They're doing things on and off the field the right way, all this stuff. And then he talks about a D lineman, and he's like, I want a single mother raising him. I want him on free lunch. I want him to go get it out the mud. Like, he was like breaking it down, and it was intense. And I was just like, everybody was backlash because everybody's so PG and the woke culture and all that. But yeah, that's kind of what you look for. It's different positions, different people, different situations are different. And you see some of these guys successful in the league or in college or anything like that, and it's like, oh, they fit this profile. It's like, okay, so we're going to recruit that profile.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah, I think it's just relating directly to the sport. Like, I don't know the outside of what he's looking at, but if you look at like a shortstop versus a first baseman,
right,
you're looking for different skills
right
on the diamond. You know, I don't know what everybody's looking for outside of the diamond, but it's different positions, different skills, different whatever, because you want a first baseman that's going to be dropping bombs, hitting gap shots, doubles. You know, you're not looking for an average guy. You're looking for extra bases. You're looking for somebody who hits the gaps. You're looking for somebody who's driving RBIs. And you look at a shortstop, you need glove work. You need somebody who can field the ball. You need somebody who's going to hit 280. You know, You're not looking for the 350, the 380 guy, but you'll take it for goddamn sure, you know, but you're looking for different things.
So they make the easy plays look easy.
Yeah.
Like, I think I talked about this with you and Mike Unknown when I had him on the pod.
Shout out to Mikey Skiz.
Go watch that episode. Great conversation.
That's a great episode.
Great conversation.
And thank you for the kind words you guys said on that.
Always.
Dude, I have that saved. Fired me up, dude. Fired me the fuck up.
We were talking about kind of the intangible side of it for him specifically in the baseball world. And I brought up the fact that it's like when you're in front of these scouts, we were talking about it too. There's a certain thing of, okay, does this kid have confidence? Is the moment too big for him? Like little things that you're supposed to look for. I don't think these GMs, I mean, I'm sure they do it, but I don't know if they really know what they're looking for, to kind of circle back. Like, I don't know if you didn't play high school, college, maybe some pro, and you're major league, whatever it is, GM, I don't know if you exactly know what you're supposed to be looking for. You might know on paper, like, okay, he runs a 4.40 and he can squat this and jump this, and yeah, that's great. But like, who is he? Is he a leader? Is he a guy that's gonna walk into the room and everybody be like, oh shit, who's that guy? You know what I mean? Like, dogs and alphas, when they walk in the room, everyone knows it.
Tell you what, Mike and no one walks into a room, you're gonna fucking know it.
You do know. Well,
he walks into the room, you're gonna
loud and talking to everybody anyway.
He walks in and you know Mikey Skiz is in the building.
He's introducing himself to people. He's saying hi. That's the little shit I look for.
Yeah.
If I'm a GM, that's what I'm looking for. If I'm a coach, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want out of my quarterback. Is he shaking everybody's hand, giving eye contact, introducing himself, full name? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, these are the things, and actually going back to Pacheco, just on this topic, you know, when all the football players first started coming to Reds, there were some issues with some of those players because of the way they carried themselves. They kind of felt entitled that they should be let right in. And so based on what was happening that year, obviously couldn't just let a whole crowd of people in at one time, had to limit the capacity, do all this. Obviously, I was pushing the limits a little bit. Everybody knows that at this point. However, all the kids who had been coming all year, like, they had first priority. So while maybe the sports teams at certain points get the priority at other places, I told them, this is a great story, actually. These guys, and I've told you this story before, but I don't know if you remember, but this was at the heart of the spring, like the golden era of Reds, when we just came back from spring break and Rutgers football, like spring ball, ended. Mm-hmm. So they started coming, and we started realizing that the football guys were coming because I had met a few of them, and they said, yo, Red, we're going to be here all the time now. Spring ball's over. So what would happen is their team is so big, the roster, they carry so many players. They're coming in hordes. Yeah. Like, they're coming 25, 30, 40 people. And, you know, that wasn't so out of the realm of how many people other people were bringing as well. They would bring squads of 20, 25, 30, you know. So this was just added on top of everybody else who was trying to get in, plus all the new people who had heard about Reds. So it became a really trying time, but there was this one time. So you know who's battling everybody at the front of the line every night is me. Yeah. You know, security I have, ton of them, but everyone will listen to me. out of respect.
Yes.
They know what's
'Cause they
going
wanna
on
get
in the
in.
world. Yes, they want to get in. They also know what's going on in the world. So if I say you can't get in at this time, you can't get in at this time. That's just the way it was. And so there's a whole group of them outside, all the football guys, and they're standing to the left, which they would always do. They would always just go to the left side and like make that their line. And so I got out there, and a couple of them had been chirping like, yo, let us in, whatever. A couple of them were like, being okay, just standing in line. And at this point, so many regulars, so many people that had been coming all year. And so one group of kids that I had been texting, because that year I had everybody's number. They were asking me when they could come, how many people they could bring. So, I told them to come.
Which is respectful and the right thing to do.
Yes, 100%. And so this group comes, and it's like 12 of them, 15 of them. And the football players are standing there, and they come, and they're like, yo, what the fuck? Like, why are you letting them in, right? So I said, listen, you guys don't understand how this works. Now, this is 30 D1 Rutgers football players, and
They're not small.
yeah, they're not small. And I'm standing out there, and I'm just like, you guys don't understand how this works. I said, all year, these guys been coming and keeping the lights on. These guys are VIP. I said, these guys are going to get in before you, and then when there's room, you guys are going to get in. And my buddy, shout out to Billy Neal, one of my guys, he's standing there. At this point, he's bigger now. He's been in the gym, but at this point, he was not that big. And he was just like, that's right. And he's standing right in the middle of all these giant football players. And I was like, you're goddamn right, Billy Neal. I was like, come on in, And then eventually, of course, all the football players got in, But it was just, you look for how they carry themselves. And I want to say this too, most of the time it was friends of the football guys that weren't even associated. Like, it wasn't like the main Rutgers guys. But all the guys who were at the top of their game that played for Rutgers never had an issue with them. No. They always carried themselves well. And honestly, for the most part, the football team always. It was just like at the beginning when they first started coming, they really just wanted to get in and do something, and I had to explain what the deal was. So it's not like I'm throwing shade at them. Like, those are my guys, Yeah. I do remember also, once they all finally got in, they're chirping the bartenders trying to get drinks and stuff, and it's like we have servers walking around getting the drinks for everybody. And they took over this corner, and it became like the football corner every night that they were in there. And so they're chirping, they're like yelling, and the servers are getting a little flustered. They're not used to this, and the guys are kind of being a little rude. And so they call me over, and they're like, these guys are chirping us, and I'm like, all right, let me go see what's going on. So I go talk to them. I'm like, yo, calm it down. I walk away. They keep going. So finally, I go, all right. I go, listen, there's like 40 or 50 of them in the bar. I'm like, huddle up. I'm like, you guys huddle up, right? We're huddling up right now in Reds. So I bring them in. I go, listen up. I said, boys, I only got 2 rules in here. I said, number 1, you got to respect everybody. And then they all go, respect, Red, respect. We got it. I said, you don't be yelling at the servers, the bartenders. You respect all the customers. That's how it goes. Number 2, no fighting. I said, I catch anybody fighting, then I'm going to throw your ass out myself. And I was like, have at it. And then they just fucking, after that, no problems ever. They all came in. They had a good time.
You know why? Because you spoke their language.
Yeah, we were
you
in
said, huddle up, and they were all like, oh, I know how to do this.
It was one of the most electric, because, again, it's not like, I'd say they were giving me problems outside of the door or whatever. They didn't really know me then, and they were just kind of chirping, and they were waiting for a while. So when people start waiting, it's not like they're bad people. I'm not trying to say that. But they had to know the deal. Yeah. You got to let people know the deal, especially that year was so hectic and so much stress. After that, really didn't have too many problems with them. It was cool. And, through that, I got to know Pacheco. I got to know Haskins. Johnny Pim's my guy. He was playing football at that time. So, I got a lot of good friends out of it. And, going back to Pacheco, the way he carries himself to wrap it all together. When he was in there, always respectful, always had a good time, always had the credit card ready. You might not think that's a big thing, but a lot of people just order and expect to get free shit because of who they are or what they do. Never. And he was always one of the best players, and he always had the card ready to pay. He didn't expect anything for free. He offered to sign the jersey that we had. We had the number 1 jersey hanging up. You really can't say enough good things about him. And I said this, I actually mentioned you on the previous podcast with my guys, Gavin and Nihar, part of Archive. I was saying, Hayden's a big Birds fan. Gavin's a big Birds fan, but he went to high school with Pacheco. And so he had the Chiefs jersey on for the game, and he was rooting on Pacheco. And it's like, how could you not root somebody like that on? How could you not want somebody like that to make it and achieve everything they want to achieve, And so I've never been that into an NFL game before. I was yelling. I was screaming. I was like, Pacheco anytime. I was just screaming. I didn't have the bet. I already said I didn't have the bet. I wanted Pacheco to have the ball every single time they ran. I was like, Pacheco anytime. And, man, I just had so much fun watching that game. Of course, he scored the touchdown. And I'm excited to see how our guy Adam Korzak does this year.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the combine going on, I believe, right now or whenever it is. It's coming up.
I'm pretty sure he played in an All-Star game and did pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's one. Shiano
He's
said
got a leg.
Shiano said he's the best punter he's ever seen. I mean, and so it's tough to argue that when you look at his numbers. And again, great guy, really nice. Every time he came in, always talked. You know, I'm hoping that everything good in life, everything that he wants happens to him. I hope he, gets a good signing deal, whatever, because again, just a good guy and good to have around,
Yeah.
And one of the best, if not the best punter to ever come through Rutgers.
Yeah. Two good guys coming from Rutgers. And I think that's another thing for Shiano. It's like you have so much talent. You have like good dudes. Like not only they're good players, but they're good dudes. And that's how you build a winning culture. So he's definitely doing something right. I don't know if they're going to give him a long enough time to do it the right way.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, they threw a lot of money at him. They made a lot of upgrades to the facility and stuff like that. So that'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, I mean, how do you not root for Pacheco? His story it'll make you cry.
Yeah, it will. You know what I'm really hoping is one day he comes on the podcast.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I think organically it'll happen.
I'm sure he comes back to Jersey.
Oh, he's back already.
Yeah.
He was at the Rutgers game, the Rutgers basketball game recently.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to get him on. And Gavin was saying this. He's like, dude, if you run into him and you talk to him about it, he's going to no doubt want to do the podcast. And because I consider him a friend, and even I sent him a message. He's so busy with the year and the season and everything. But I sent him a message from the Reds page, and I just said, thank you for everything. We're closing down. Weren't able to make the whole COVID backlog up, but I really appreciate everything you did when you were here. You made sure everybody was kind of acting cool, watching over the football guys, and he liked it. So I know he saw it. So I'm glad he got to see that and kind of close it off. But I'm hoping I run into him in the future soon. He's back in Jersey now.
Yeah.
And again, such a great season.
Yeah. And guys like that, I'm telling you, guys like that you keep doing this, guys like that will just be the norm. It's like, oh yeah, I had Isaiah Pacheco on last week. I got fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what it is too, is I say this all the time, is I want someone like him, like he is a friend of mine, and I want to highlight what my friends have going on. Of course, he's a big name now.
Yeah.
But, I love just talking to my friends and seeing what they have going on, because a lot of people have a lot of cool shit that they're doing, and not everybody knows about it.
Right.
So, while I have the time to do this and run with this podcast, let's because talking about Gavin and Nihar, part of Archive, they have a really cool app right now that they're running. It's called Archive. And actually, I just saw this today. There's a clothing company on it. So they have different clothing companies that sell their brands on the app.
Oh, okay.
It's called Archive with 3 3s, like the actual number 3s at the end of it instead of E. And one of the brands is called What Happened to God. Now, their first drop on the app was with that brand and a few others. And I had bought 2 of the shirts that were What Happened to God brand. And they were just on Kai Cenat's stream. So Kai Cenat is like the biggest streamer right now. He's doing like this whole 30-day live stream where he's not turning it off at all on Twitch.
Yeah.
And two girls rolled up with the What Happened to God bag and the varsity jacket wearing that are offered on the app. And then they brought him some clothes like on the live stream. It was pretty cool to see.
Damn, that's
they
sweet.
both posted it on their Instagram story. So
That's
I got to see
cool.
that. So it's things like that. Like everybody, that we know has some cool stuff going on, and everyone's got a story, and I like highlighting it. I like learning about what my friends are doing, because a lot of them, again, I haven't talked to in the past couple of years just because of what was going on. So now's the time where I get to catch up and see what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you have friends like me, I'm a fucking lunatic, and I just completely changed my life
That's
overnight.
the damn truth right there. That's the damn truth. So, but really, the opportunity you're going for, and so what is the deal with recruiting down there? Are you going to do you have somebody who's in because again, private school, so it's a little bit different. Public schools don't recruit or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're going to go down there. Do they have somebody who's in charge of that? Is there a recruiting coordinator?
I think it's just going to be me and Shane doing a lot of the legwork, which is kind of how I like it. I want to be able to say, yes, I did this. Yes, our offense did this, and our team did this, and it was because of Shane and myself, and I also want the pressure and the responsibility of that too. I want to be like, well, if it doesn't work, it's my fault, because that keeps you motivated. That keeps you on your toes. That keeps you working. I mean, I don't really need much more motivation than leaving my family and quitting 2 jobs, but
It's all right there, laid out right in front of you.
Well, yeah. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Would you, for this podcast, you like interviewing people, would you ever do like a solo? Like a solo episode or like a...
I've thought about it. When I get going, I could go. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if I got 500 milligrams of caffeine pumping through my veins, like I could go on any topic, and I think it would be cool to come, to go at the podcast that way. But I really do enjoy learning the story that people have going on and talking about things that I have done in the past with people, talking about certain goals that we have coming up in the future, things that haven't happened yet, things we're looking forward to. I really, as the person hosting the podcast, because I said this on the Cole Hallman podcast, I said, as a guest, I feel like I'm the GOAT on podcasts. I feel like I can just go. Like, you asked me a question, I could roll. I got all the attitude going. I got everything. I got my character out. I'm ready to roll,
Yeah.
And
you're putting on a show.
Yeah, putting on a show because I'm running the show. And that's what I've been doing for years now. So, it's just, I love, like, even when we did your podcast the first time, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, man, I felt amazing. Like, we were in there, and that was my first podcast I ever did. And I was hoping to do one, at some point coming up soon, because at that time people started, the hype of podcasts started growing. It wasn't as big as it is now, but it was like you were ahead of the game. And so when you asked me to do it, I was so hyped, and I felt like I was spot on. And it's still on YouTube, correct? Like, people can go watch that.
I got to ask Nick. I have no idea.
It's an absolutely electric podcast, but I felt as the guest, I was like, man, that was it right there, So as a host, it would be tough for me to do it solo. Not so much because I can't do it, but because, just coming from the angle of hosting the podcast, I really enjoy learning the story of people. I enjoy learning about what they have going on. And so that kind of feeds me, and that kind of gives me the substance to go off of when I'm doing the podcast.
That makes sense.
However, if somebody gives me a list of topics to go off of,
right,
I could run it. If you're talking about like current
like
events that are going on,
to stuff,
reaction stuff, current events. I just spit one-liners all day. It's the bonus. Jersey wit. It's the New Jersey wit. It's the greatest state in the fucking union. I've been saying it for years, but that's just what it is.
You sounded like Quinn.
Yeah. You know exactly what I'm talking. That's exactly. By the way, I need to get him on here. I texted him and called him a while back, or I called him and then he texted me and said, "Been busy. I'll get back to you." I said, "I'm just calling to catch up." But
if you have Quinn Flood on this podcast, it'll be a 5-hour podcast.
Those are the marathons.
We had to cut him off when we had him on.
He is somebody that will, if you let him go, he'll never stop.
And you two together,
it
would literally be like a Joe Rogan
He's been
3.5 hour podcast.
He has been a good friend of mine for some time now, and we used to drive around in the Impala. Shout out to the Impala Mafia back in the day. He was like the first member ever, and so we would, him and Skyler, and we would just drive around. Quinn, he likes to drive. So either I would pick him up, and then he got his license, he would pick me up, and we would just drive and, talk shop. And I really do want to get him on here and have him run the show for a bit, because he can go.
I think it says something too, because I think a lot of people say, people go through transitions in their lives, right? This will make sense in a second. So when you're growing up, you're like, oh, these are my high school friends. Like, I'm going to know them forever. And we're all going to be close. And I got 100 of them. And then you go to college and you're like, yeah, I hang out with 4 people from high school now. And then you go to college and you're like, I got 30 college friends. We're all going to be close forever. You graduate from college. I was like, yeah, I got 4 of those. So, and then after that, you meet people along the way that you kind of gravitate towards. And it's not just because you grew up down the block. Having a mixture of that, I think, is huge. Like having people from back home, having people from college, having people from the real world, if you want to call it that, I think is huge. And us gravitating towards each other, Quinn included, because he was the one that got me into the bar idea originally in Seaside. And then we sat down and talked about it, and him bringing me to this shithole bar in Seaside on an off night. I was like, why are we here? And he's like, oh, I want to buy it and I want you to be a part of it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, here we go. How about it? El Flood brings you all the way there till he tells you what the deal is.
He didn't tell me anything. And we get in there and I'm like, all right, dude. Like, why the fuck are we at a rock and roll pool hall on the boardwalk in like January? And he's like, well, I want to buy it and I want you to be part of it. And then we were talking and he was like, I think we should have Red be involved too. And I was like, I didn't really know you that much at the time. I knew you a little bit. And I was like, okay.
What did he say? He said palsy.
He
My
said
last
Palsy.
name. That's
he
what
said Palsy.
he goes, we got a Palsy.
We got to have
mom.
Palsy
Yeah,
in
yeah,
it. And at first I was like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And then he was like,
You're like,
Red.
oh, that's Red.
And I was like, okay. And then we got closer, and then it just all started to work together. And then even though that opportunity didn't work out, in my mind, I'm like, these are guys that I would go into business with. These are guys that I would risk it with. You know what I'm saying? And I think that speaks volumes to anything, just building connections with people. It's like, I have friends that I say I love. They're my brothers, this and that. I would never start a business with them. I would never trust them with my livelihood or my life. I mean, maybe my life, but not like that.
Yeah, 100%.
My financial life. You know what I mean? Like, and like, I view you as a brother. I view Quinn as a brother, and it's just different. It's like different ways to like find people and gravitate towards people. I think I'm getting a little hippy dippy on this podcast.
No, I love getting the hippy dippy, as you call it. Yeah. It's true. You meet people in your life, and sometimes you think you're going to be around them forever. You think you can be friends with them forever. And then it turns out that it was somebody who maybe was just supposed to be in your life for that period of time. And then you go on.
Which is huge. That is a thing. There are people that aren't supposed to be in your life forever.
Yes. And the one good thing, and it kind of goes back to this whole theme of this podcast, right? Is like, since Red's closed, I've been hitting up all the kids I became close friends with from the pandemic year when Red's really grew. And now I've also been hitting up all my friends from home that I've always wanted to be in touch with that I didn't even get a chance to talk to during that whole pandemic era because I had so much going on with Reds, just eating shit every day. So it's like, there's something to be said. I talked about this with your guy Ryan Stars and Sam Johnson. Yeah. We were talking about how I see this a lot on the internet, how people are like, oh, if they're not forwarding you towards your goal, you got to drop them, leave them behind. They're not really your friends. And, maybe they were here for this amount of time, but they don't support you in what you're doing now. They don't reach out to you. But I think what people need to realize is, not everybody is going to have the same vision as you. Not everybody wants the same thing as you. I got friends that right now are married with kids, that are engaged, that are getting ready to get married, and they are happy. Like, they are successful because they have reached a point of happiness. Like, they're going forward with life, and I'm not ready to get married. I'm not dating nobody, but like, that's their vision of happiness. That's what they want to do. And of course they have different things in their lives going on, like different jobs and stuff, and they maybe even change that, but it's not like everybody has the same goals. So I'm not a big fan of this concept where people are like, oh, when's the last time this person reached out to you? Like, motherfucker, he's probably got a lot of shit going on. Yeah. Or she's probably got a lot of shit going on. She wants to do something that doesn't involve me. She's focused on her business. She's focused on her content. So I don't expect them. Like, they could still be my friend, and I do still consider them friends. Just because I haven't talked to them in a while, I have to write them off. Just because they haven't reached out to me, I have to write them off. That's not always the case. And I know what people are saying in the sense of, okay, like, leave them behind. They don't have the same vision. And there are some people that you may want to cut off because they're just keeping you from getting to where you want to go. But that's not everybody. And there's this overhyped, narrative that you should just cut people off, throw them away, never talk to them again. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm on a similar page with that. I think if you're down and people know you're down, and then you kind of see who gives a shit. Because, like, even if you're busy, like, Red's closed. Even if you're busy, send a text. Hey, how you doing? I hope everything's all right. I know we haven't talked in a while. Hope you're doing all right. Like, this is a tough time. That's when you kind of know. I also am a big proponent of I will only cut you off if you're not doing shit. Like, if you're not doing anything, like, I need people around me and in my circle that are doing something. You know what I mean? Because if you're not, at least, you could be married, kids, have a 9-to-5 where you're the general manager of a gym, right? That's great. If you're not fucking doing it, like, you're not working towards being the manager, or like like, if you're not hustling in your field, it's hard to be around you, because I'm motivated, and I don't want to be around someone that's not motivated in what they're doing.
100%. Yeah, that's a really good point. It's kind of like I would say the energy of somebody.
Yes.
You could tell it's not what they're doing. It's how they're doing it. It's their energy.
Yeah.
And you could tell that right away. And it's like, you don't always have to hang out with these people and stuff, but the idea of just writing there's people I haven't seen in 5 or 6 years, but when I see them, I always get so excited. Because at one point, you might have had a connection with them, and to throw that all away just because... Listen, if there's somebody you haven't seen in 5 years, you getting hyped to see them, you catching up with them for a minute, it's not like you're going to start hanging out with them every day, but there's no reason to have this idea of just, cut that person off. Like, they're nothing to me.
That's a
What do
nice
you
moment.
mean?
That's a nice moment.
And also, they contributed to the story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who contributed to the story that you might not have seen in a while, but they were part of it at one point. And, whether or not they're with you now or going forward with you now, it doesn't mean you can't look back on the effect they had on you at the time they were in the story.
Right. If you, let's say you view your life as a movie, because that's a fun thing that people like to say. Yeah. You're the main character of your movie, and people make cameos throughout that whole movie, and you can look back and be like, I remember that dude. He did this, this, and this. I remember that girl. She was awesome. And I think that's, like you said, an important part of the movie and the story. And when you're supposed to cut someone off.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
It's pretty obvious.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. I agree with the fact that, like, just because they didn't hit you up randomly, you should cut them off.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me.
I'm not hitting anybody up.
Yeah.
I mean, if I see someone that's struggling, absolutely. If I see someone that had a baby, sure. Like, they got married, congratulations. But day to day, who's got time to be like, I got to remember to text this guy and then that guy and then, come on.
Yeah, we all got shit going
Grow
on.
up.
Which is why, again, it's exactly, it goes both ways. It's like, they got shit going on. I don't expect them to hit me up all the time and be involved. And, again, the energy of somebody. And you know what else, though, along this concept is, there's something to be said for, people that you're meeting along the way that their intentions are not in the right place.
Right.
So in our industry, that's a big thing. Obviously, hospitality, a lot of people are there for the show. They're there to show off what they have. They're there to show off who they are.
Fake.
And yeah, exactly. So I think that's a whole different thing. I think, those people, you're cutting them off right away. You got to kind of feel out the energy of somebody. And that, I saw something the other day, somebody was talking about that. They're like, forget what they've done, whatever, like move off energy. Because that's going to tell you where it's going to be in a year from now, 2 years from now. You'll know where you're going with that person.
Yeah, for sure. Especially in this field. You see some fake flexers out there.
Oh, all the time. All the time. And how people carry themselves, like when they're out, when they're doing things. Just being in this industry, I think we have a perspective that a lot of people may not. But you could tell. I think in anything you do, you'll know. But it's hard, for a lot of people to spot, the fake intentions of people. But in our industry, it's like after all these years, I kind of have a good gauge on it.
I absolutely, this is going to sound wild. I hate going to packed bars, but if I'm with the right group of people, I'll have a blast.
Yep.
Like, I personally would never go to a packed bar by myself just because of working at Bar A for so long, unless it's Bar A because I know everybody there. So it's kind of like I'm with people. But if I'm with a good group of people, let's run it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I look forward to that. Let's run it. Let's do it. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely, energy is a huge thing, because even if you enjoy the day to day, but you have someone in your life that has bad energy, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
You're going to be absolutely miserable. And that's kind of why I liked working at the bar, because you can call them seasonal friends if you want, but I won't really see or talk to a lot of those people all year. But then when the summer comes, we're close.
Yeah, it's right back to where you left off.
Like, we're right here. Like,
yep.
How was your off season? What'd you do? What's new? Everything good? All right, let's rock it this summer.
Yeah, let's
get
right back to it.
You get that quick little checkup in. How you doing? What's new? And then you're like, let's make this money.
Yeah.
But you're still close. You look out for each other, especially in the bar world. You got to look out for it, because the way Bar A does it too, 9 times out of 10, they'll do, if there's 2 girls, they'll have to have a male.
Yeah.
So you're looking out for each other. And if someone's getting into it, they're like, all right, Haydn, go handle that.
No, that's actually a good point you make, because I think a lot of people, obviously you see, like, at all these bars, there's, so many attractive girls that are bartenders.
Of course.
Right? And it's...
sex sells.
But, you have to... It's a good point, because I remember I was at a bar, this was the only time ever I've almost gotten to a fight at DJs. Because, those are my people. I'm friends with all those guys, yeah. and all the bartenders. And there was this one kid who was being real nasty to the bartender. And I forget what the deal was. Like, there was another bartender in a bar back, but I don't know what was going on. They must have been getting something. But at the point of when this kid was being nasty,
yeah,
it was just a girl back there. And so, and she was a friend of mine. And so I'm standing there, and I don't like causing issues there ever. Like, I don't want to because, I'll get security, and I'll tell them because I know them too.
Yeah, I was going to say.
At this moment, I'm standing against the bar. We're outside. I don't even know where the security guys are at right now. And he's being real nasty. So then I just started, I didn't get in his face, but I started chirping him. And I started talking shit. And so just to get him to stop. To get off from the girl, because that was a good point you made. You need somebody there to, kind of disintegrate that situation if it starts to happen. And then, he started saying like, oh, I'll fucking smack the shit out of you and all this stuff. And I fucking walked towards him. I said, fucking do it then. And his buddy, his big ass friend was like, guys, we're not going to do this, whatever. And then, at that point, the other bartender came back and then the bar back as well. And so they hopped the bar and like security came and kicked the kid out. But it's true. Like I always try to look out for those situations because it's true. You got to look out for each other.
Yeah.
And I always appreciated that at Reds because you think about that one year when we were crazy, we had like 4 or 5 security guys every night. That was it. But last year we had like 10 or 12.
Yeah.
But everybody in the bar was somebody I knew the year before. So they were all looking out for Reds. Something happens, like they would come get me or they'd get one of the security guards right away. Like we had people all over. I love that part. I love that community part of hospitality and nightlife because that is something that I don't think a lot of people see, but that's out there, especially around here because I think a lot of people, including myself, have been going to these places for many years.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been working at these
very
places for many years.
Very familiar faces, whether they're patrons or coworkers or whatever it is. Fucking DJs, man.
It's a spot.
I don't know what it is.
It's a spot.
I don't go very often. I go like literally once, maybe twice a summer. Every time I'm in there, someone tries to fight me.
Well, you're a big hoss, dude.
But I am a happy drunk.
You are.
I love life. When
Great
I'm
energy.
Drunk. Good energy. I'm like, maybe I'm hitting on a girl or something, but 9 times out of 10, I'm flirting with like Jen.
Wait a second. Of course, yeah. Wait a second. Who in their right fucking mind would look at you and think, all right, I want to fight this guy?
It's beer muscles. It's drunk tough guys.
Yeah, well, they're fucking morons. Because if they got beer muscles and they're looking at you thinking they're going to do anything,
well, you know what it is?
They're fucking dumb.
You know what it is? I go in there. I'm never in there sober. So I'll go in there a little banged up. And then I'll say hi to whoever's working. Quinn. In the past, it was Slim, Nico, Jen. And Jen likes to put her friends on her stories. So these guys that think she's attractive and want to approach her, see me, walk right in, get whatever drink I want, and then she takes a picture or video with me. I give her a lot of money, and then I keep it moving. They see that, they get jealous, and they go, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Not knowing, I'm like, dude, I'm just a bartender that works right down the street. Yeah. We all know each other. I'm not trying to marry her. Like, it's just like a nice thing that we do. We have a routine, and I just keep it moving.
Meanwhile, you're sparring with heavyweight UFC fighters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you want to run it? Let's fucking run it, you know?
I have no problem. I mean, we could do whatever, but I'm never going to initiate it. No, I just want to have a good time.
I've always walked away from any issues. So many people have talked shit. I mean, you go to a spot like that where it's packed, even Bar A too, people talk shit all the time. Dude, I've walked away every single time. It's just, it's not even worth it. It's never worth it in the end. Except the one time where I had to defend, because I felt like I was defending one of the employees there who was, that's when I felt like I was doing right. Yeah. I felt like I was doing something right.
What's that 50 Cent quote? It's going viral right now. He goes, he's like, I never want a problem, but you come with me with a problem, and I say no problem.
Well, yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. That's exactly
I never want a problem. I'm the happiest drunk there is. But if you come with me with a problem, we can handle it.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a good idea for anybody. Anybody wants to take you on, it's not a smart idea. What's going to be going on with the MMA training when you get down there? Going to be doing any of that?
I still like to. I'll probably find a gym down there and stay with it because that's like my release. That's my therapy. That's what keeps me sane and keeps me from not getting into drunk bar fights with people because I get that all out of my system. I'm not that kind of guy anyway, but like that helps for sure. I think it's important for everybody's mental health to have a release. I mean, yours is fucking hitting dingers in the cage.
Just absolute bombs every time.
I think I'll definitely keep doing that. I think that's important.
Well, so the plan going forward? Moving down next week or the week after, whatever it is, March 12th.
March 12th.
Going to be moving down full time, locked in, start right up at school as a guidance counselor?
So I moved down. It takes 2 days to drive there. So I'll get there Monday. Depending on what time we get there, I may or may not be able to move in that day. Definitely move in Tuesday. Wednesday, I start in the school.
Trial by fire.
Yeah.
Right into the mix.
I also, this is kind of funny, I also don't know what I'm going to be doing on a day-to-day basis as a counselor.
Listen, the best way I've learned from talking to people on this podcast that have made it pretty far and succeeded, nobody knew what they were doing.
I have no clue. And it is very nerve-wracking. And it's bittersweet. It's definitely bittersweet because I'm leaving a lot of friends and people I care about behind and opportunities I'm leaving behind and stuff like that. But I think this is the right time, the right place, and we're going to fucking go for it.
I just got a feeling that again, going down there, like this move right here is going to set you up for wherever you're going to be in the end. I feel like this is the way, and I feel like, you know, in terms of having someone fit for this job, for what you're going to do, there's nobody better.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun to look back at the pilot episode, this episode, episodes you've done on mine, when I'm a D1 coach, NFL GM or something like that, and I'm sitting on this couch and we're like,
remember a couple years ago?
What's up, dude?
How you been? Yeah. Good.
And I'll keep the same. It's me though. Like
Yeah.
I'm never going to change me. Like, will I tone it down in certain situations? Yes. Situations are situational.
Yep.
You can write that down. But I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to be the same guy. And I think that's what's going to actually help me in the coaching world and help me succeed, because what you see is what you get. I'm going to tell you how it is. And we're going to have fun winning a lot of games.
Yeah, I think you going down there, there's nobody better equipped to go down there and start leading this team. And you got your guy Shane, you said is his name, right?
Shane Mulhern. Yeah. Shout out to Shane.
So,
Great
you
dude.
guys going down there, leading the charge, somebody you know. I think the energy you guys are going to bring down there, you know, I mean, I can only speak from the energy I know of you, but
He is a fucking lunatic.
Okay.
He is 25 years old. You think he was like a 65-year-old, like hard-nosed former football coach at
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
It's going to be exciting when you guys get down there.
It's gonna be fun.
It's going to be a cool change of pace as well. You talk about growing up, living in Jersey your whole life, going down there, seeing what it's like. It's going to be awesome. And again, nobody better equipped to go down there and run it.
I always said coming out of high school, I wanted to go play football in the South. I wanted to go South. I made it all the way to Philly. So now I get to go South.
God-forsaken city of Philadelphia.
Now I get to go South for real.
This is the real deal. This is the real deal. Well, dude, best of luck. We'll have to grab lunch or something before you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to get like Kevin Nolte, Quinn, yourself. Like,
that would be awesome.
We could all have like a lunch or a night out or something like that.
Yep.
Got to schedule pretty soon, but yeah. Hopefully we could do something.
Yeah, I got nothing on schedule. You let me know when we're doing it, and I'm there.
We could have like a boys' night one night and just kind of
go grab dinner, grab a couple drinks, and that would be sweet. Dope, man. Best of luck.
I appreciate you having me on, and I'm excited to see where this goes. I think this is just going to be
Reddcast on the upwards track, and then in 10 years, we're just going to speak it into existence.
10
years pilot episode with Haydn Warren. Before we had lights, anything, we were in Reds, New Brunswick, just shooting the pilot episode. And Nick Perez was there as well.
Yeah. Nick, Corey, us. It's going to be awesome.
It's all fucking time. Good shit. Well, dude, good luck to you.
I appreciate it, and thank you for having me. Everybody watch this. Check out Sports Culture, Toe-to-Toe Fight Talk. I'm about to win a fucking championship.
Let's fucking go. And we're out.